Okay. Hi. So this is like a very entry level look into FL Studio. This is for people who are just starting. I do kind of mention some more advanced topics if you just want to watch, but this is more geared towards people who haven't used FL Studio and just learning the very basic setup, learning the user interface, and learning the various audio settings, MIDI settings, and how to make a very simple beat. And it also talks about the mixer, which is right here. This is the mixer. If you look in a studio from like back in the day, a real studio, not a Fruity Loop studio, but a real one, you'd notice there's a piece of hardware that's like a long kind of board with a bunch of volume knobs on it. That's exactly what this is, except this right here is a virtual version of that on a software application. So all the volume knobs are right here. You can see them. Um, and yeah, so there's like, I have some stuff on there, but I'll get to that later. So this is the basic user interface. You have a step sequencer right here. This is where you can make like beats on. I do advise making all your beats and melodies on actual instruments or MIDI controllers because it's a lot more fun and you practice music. So when you make a melody on like a keyboard, you're learning multiple things. You're learning the recording process here in FL Studio, but you're also learning how to play the piano, how to get your fingers right, where the notes are, and you can translate that skill to a stage where you're able to perform. If you make everything on the screen, there's not much you can do on stage when you get to the stage. So I really, really recommend making everything with your hands, using instruments and MIDI controllers, and viewing the software just as really like a way to record your sound, so you have quality recordings that you can show and sell. But yeah, so this step sequencer is where you can make beats. Beats are kind of hard to make without a drum set, and miking a drum set is a hell of a process that takes a lot of microphones and it's very expensive. So you can make beats right here. Okay. I've loaded up some quality kits, some quality drum kit sounds that I bought from Evil Needle. So you have like kicks. You have these kick sounds here that you can drag up. So when you want to pick a sound, you're going to use this browser here to the left, all right? You can toggle the browser, the step sequencer, and the playlist, which is this big right thing. You can toggle these with these buttons up here. If you hover over the button, you'll see that it displays what it's called under the file settings. So if you hover under this one, for example, it says View Mixer over here under File. It'll say View Mixer, okay? So you click that, and here's the mixer. Then you X out. And Playlist. This is the playlist. So if I click that, it'll disappear, okay? And it'll come back, all right? Step Sequencer, which is this, where you make the beats, it'll come back. So that's up here. That's how so if one of these just disappears and you don't know how to get to it, remember it's right here. All of these buttons right here. And if you don't know what a button does, just hover over it and it'll tell you what it does over here under File. Okay. So you make beats in here. Now I'm using better sounds. When you just get the program, you're going to have default sounds, and I really recommend that you go out online and find drum kits, okay? Like FL Studio drum kits. I'll show you how to install them later on. So here you make beats. You can have a kick drum. The kick drum plays. All right. You can have a percussion. All right, and a snare. Okay. That's how you make a very simple beat. Okay. If you want to put the beat into your song now, you want to come over here to this playlist. Okay, and you just left click, and now that beat is placed in the playlist. So if you come next to play, there's play, stop, and record. Next to play, there's an orange light. That means the step sequencer is going to play. So the step sequencer will play. If you press the one below it, the green light appears. And now that means the playlist is going to play. So it's going to play this playlist right here as it follows the playlist. Okay, so the cool thing about that now is you can make another beat. You can clone this beat. You can make a new pattern. If you scroll up here to 2, a new pattern will appear. You can also clone this pattern. So now you have 2 patterns. See here, there's 1 and 2 that are the same. And you can change this beat to be a little different. So let's make the 2 and 4 measures, second and fourth measure, to be a little bit different. So now when you play on the green light in the playlist, the second measure is different. See? So here's pattern 1, and here's pattern 2. They're 2 different patterns, okay? Now, you want to add some melody into this, right? So you come up here to this thing called channels, all right? And you want to add 1. Now, when you get FL Studio, you'll have some basic ones, like I think 3x oscillator, 3x OSC, which stands for oscillator, or you're gonna have, or you'll have some. I don't know what the hell you'll have, but you'll have some. You can also go online. There's a ton of free ones. There's the DVS saxophone, which I know has been used in some top 40 hits. Not that I recommend. That sound isn't really the best sound, and I hope in the future, I really hope in the future that we take over top 40 and make top 40 sound good, because it doesn't sound good right now. Alright, so there's a bunch of synths. You could download them online, and there's free ones, some are paid for. Like Massive is a really well-known one. I think you have to buy it. I don't have it, but I'll probably look into it later. You can really kind of make any sound from anything, though. It's just, I think an important thing is to have a creative process. You have to really kind of think outside the box and try to, like, kind of, if you don't have the thing to make it work, you can still make it work. You can get around it somehow and make it work. So if anyone listens to like drum and bass, there's that one distinct bass line that's used a lot in drum and bass, and I think I found one that's pretty similar to it. It sounds like this. Alright, I have a keyboard over here, so all the melodies I'm playing on the keyboard. Right, so this is an example of a synth that you can get. And you can change the sound by coming to this drop down on the left to presets. And they've already given you a ton of like preset sounds that are different. You have keyboard sounds, bass sounds, lead instruments, pads, synthesizers, and stuff like that. So this lead is this burning red GOL. And you can modify the way it sounds if you want. So you can come in here, change the amplitude. You can change the release so it kind of carries on longer after you're done pressing the button. You can change the attack so it comes in quicker. The frequency, so you can take out the higher end frequencies and just have low. So here you'll hear all the frequencies, pretty much all. But if I take this frequency down, you're only going to have the low ones. See, and if I put it halfway, you'll have about 50% of them. So that's how you can get, you can change the sound so it's different. Okay, so there. And as you see on these keys down here, as I play the keyboard, so you know what notes I'm hitting. Okay. Now, I really recommend recording. You can come in and right click on that synth, and when the light is lit up, that means that synth is selected. So that synth will play. So if I come to kick, and now the kick is green, lit up, the kick's gonna play. When I play on the keys over here, the kick is playing. Okay. I recommend drums, use this for drums, all right, and melodies on the piano. It's not plugged in though, so I can't use it. So, yeah, you can make melodies if you right click on this synth here when it's lit up. You can go to piano roll, and you can technically like click and make shit like this. I don't recommend this though, because it takes too long and you don't learn an instrument. I really recommend recording from the MIDI. So when the MIDI's set up, all you want to do is have an open pattern. So make sure you're not on a pattern like this, or else it's going to overlap. Have an open pattern. So come to 3 and this record button right here. All right. You want to also activate the metronome. And again, if you don't know where anything is, just hover over it. So this piano thing, I don't know what the hell it is. It's wait for input to start playing. So I guess if that's activated, it's not going to start playing until you input some MIDI. I guess. I don't know. I don't use that. This foot, I don't know what the hell the foot is. That's step editing mode. Okay. But the metronome's right here. So if you hover over it, it says metronome under file. Activate that. Activate this record button here. So recording is activated. And the metronome will count down 4 counts on tempo with this 130 beats per minute. And then you can start recording. Okay. I'm going to redo that. Sorry. It was kind of cool, but wasn't quite as cool as I wanted it to be. So we're going to do it one more time. Activate the metronome, activate the record. All right? There. Okay, so there's an example of one. And now that pattern is on its own pattern, and it'll automatically be placed into the playlist. Okay, and you can move these around and everything. So that's how you set up a song. So now the song is being built over here in the playlist. You can turn off the drums, just play the melody. You can activate the drums. Okay. Now, this melody might not be exactly on tempo because there's human error. When you record, the melody comes in. The notes are recorded like into the piano roll, which is freaking awesome, but they might be a little bit off. See how this one doesn't line up with anything? You can fix that if you come to this toolbar here. Okay. And then you do quick quantize. So now everything is quantized. And you're able to kind of move it so it is on. So it's on tempo. It's on the downbeat, the upbeat, wherever. Okay. So to get to that, again, you just click anywhere on these notes, or you can right click on the synth to piano roll, and then this will open up. And then this toolbar lets you do a bunch of things. The most important thing that this toolbar lets you do is the quantize. This other stuff is kind of pointless. I never use it. Yeah, it's kind of pointless. You can flip this so the melody's flipped either vertically or horizontally, but yeah. So anyway, quick quantize right there, and it'll put it on so it's on the beat. And yeah. And remember, you can change these frequencies. And the cool thing is, if you record, so this is recording now, recording. Oh. Here. So record, if you just press stop a bunch of times, it'll go back to the beginning. So when you start, it'll count down. And now you can modulate this frequency, and it's recording it, okay, and bring it back up. See? So now when you play it, that's remembered. See how there's that thing there? You've recorded the modulation of the frequency, and you recorded the notes. This is getting kind of advanced. See that? So that's that. There's these settings. You really, if you have like a studio setup, you have an interface, you have speakers, you have multiple pieces of equipment, hardware, mixers and everything. You really have to understand how audio settings work, which is the second one here. You want to always make sure the core ASIO, core AISO audio device is selected, because you can change your inputs in the mixer, which I'll show you later. But so it's just options here to MIDI settings and or audio. So make sure the core ASIO is always chosen as your audio device, because that's the most versatile audio device. If you use primary sound driver, it's not going to work with like an interface. If you plug in an interface, an external audio interface, or you use an external mixer or anything like that to bring audio from outside sources into the software, it's not going to pick it up. You have to use this core ASIO. Okay. MIDI, this makes sure all your MIDIs are plugged in. Make sure you plug the MIDIs in before you open FL Studio. I don't know why, but if you have FL open and then you plug in a MIDI USB, for some reason it doesn't really pick it up. You can probably rescan though. Rescan here and then enable the device. Okay. So now I'm going to show you the mixer, and the mixer is probably the most important thing in audio editing software. It is definitely the most important thing. It's this mixer here, like I was saying earlier. This is where all the tracks are. So in a studio, you have to conceptualize back in the day how music was recorded. Okay, you enter a studio, there are sound booths and shit like that. So there's like a mic booth that is quiet, so the speaker's sound isn't going into the microphone, so it's just recording audio. But basically, you have the band recording. You have a guitar player, you have a drummer, you have a singer, you have a bass player, you have a synth player, you have a trumpet player, you have a saxophone player, whatever. Okay, each of those players the inputs are coming into this mixer here. Okay, so the guitar is coming into one track on this mixer. Okay, I'll move it over so you don't see that. So like insert 6, say a guitar track is coming directly into insert 6. Okay, the bass is coming into insert 7, the vocals are coming into insert 8, and the drum might take insert 9, 10, 11, 12, because you have the kick, you have the snare, you have the cymbals, you have all these multiple sounds coming out of a drum set. And miking a drum set is a pain in the ass. Okay, it's really hard to mic a drum set. It takes a lot of equipment, a lot of condenser microphones. This is not a condenser. This is a dynamic microphone, so it's not as good. It doesn't require phantom power on the interface and stuff like that, and it's more intended for like a stage, although it gets the job done. For like teaching, if I'm going to record vocals for a track, definitely use a condenser microphone. So yeah, this is a mixer. Sounds come into here, like individual sounds. So for example, this kick, okay, I can select this kick, make sure it's lit up, and I can bring it in. If you just left click on a track and it selects the track, and then you right click on the track and this opens up. You want to do link selected channels. So this channel is selected because it's lit up, and you want to link it to the track. Okay, so now that kick is coming through. These are already linked, but basically you want to link each one of these and the snare. So snare selected, right click, and then to this track. So as you can see now, this drum is coming through the mixer and it's split up. And that's good, because when it's split up, you can now add effects to specific sounds and not affect the entire song. Okay, so you can add effects to this kick drum, you can add effects to the snare drum, like a little bit of reverb. So slight reverb onto the snare. So the snare, you hear that? It has a little bit of reverb. Okay, not a lot, but a little bit. So that's how you do that. And if the light's on, the thing's activated. This is like common sense. If it's off, it's not activated. So the reverb's off right now. Now the reverb's on. And that's only affecting the snare. If I come to this kick, the reverb's not there. Okay, the reverb is only affecting the snare. The kick doesn't have anything. Now all of the tracks in the mixer will come through to the master. Okay, so you can see my voice moving because I have a vocal track way over here On 20, I have a vocal, okay, with a compressor. You always want to have the out. That's just, I'll talk about that in a later video when I get more specific. But yeah, so there you go. The kicks and snares, you can have this synth right here, which is this one. So activate that synth, make sure it's selected. Right click, and then to this track. I already have them here. When you start a new project, it's not going to have those. So they don't appear in the mixer until you put them in. So that's one thing. I'm going to pause real quick. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. Had to grab some stuff. All right, yo. So yeah, were we talking about the mixer? Yeah. So here's the mixer. You could put stuff like individual instruments and sounds onto certain areas in the mixer. So track 1 is the kick, track 2 is the percussion, track 3 is the snare, and then I have the bass line on track 4. And you can add new things. So I'm gonna add piano real quick. So I have a pack that has piano down here. So if you just open this pack, all these, there's instruments, drums, loops, sound effects, SFX, sound effects, vocals. So you have all this random shit. I don't really use them. I like making everything on my own, so it's like I own it. I don't like sampling shit. If it's like a drum loop, I don't want to really use it. I will take kicks and snares and stuff like that because that's kind of like really broken down to the individual level. But if there's like a whole drum loop like these, I just don't want to use them. You can't edit them. You can chop them up and do some like glitchy kind of stuff with them, but like it's just, I don't like using them. Anyway, so there's instruments, piano, okay? So like a piano, you click and drag it into the step sequencer, and then you have a piano sound. So you can insert a new track or scroll up to an open one like 5. So 5 is now available, and you can play some piano. So if I were to record something, that was almost a Zelda theme, and I just made that up on the fly. That was crazy. Holy crap, that was crazy. I just made that up, and it was like the Zelda theme. All right, so that, where'd it go? Did I get it? I don't think it worked. Shit. Try it again. Wait. Where is it? I don't know, but yeah. Why isn't it recording? That's so bizarre. Whatever. So there's something. You can insert that into pattern. Whatever that random melody was, you can bring it into pattern. Track 5. So you right click, link selected tracks, bring that into track 5. So now when you play that, it's coming through. That one note is off. I don't know where it is, but the beginning is pretty damn good. I'm going to quantize these again, like I said. So when you quantize them, now they're pretty close. There you go. So there's that. Alright. So a quick overcap. The orange button here next to play plays only what's in this step sequencer. Okay, and then the green one will play everything that's over here. So I don't know if it's gonna harmonize because it's a weird melody, but alright, see, so it's over that bass line. Bass line's there with the drums. Alright, so that's all through the mixer. So in the mixer, you wanna mix everything so everything sounds good together. You don't want to mix one part by itself, because then you can't mix it in relation to the rest of the song. So you're trying to take that piano sound and mix it into the rest of the song. The drums, the bass line, the lasers, whatever you have in your song, you want to try to mix that sound into it so the whole song sounds good. Don't just mix the piano by itself, because that doesn't do anything. It doesn't accomplish anything. So mix the piano into the rest of the song, mix the bass line into the song, mix the drums into the song, so that your mix sounds good, okay? And then once the mix sounds good, you move on to the mastering step. And then the mastering step brings the volume up, makes it sound clearer, and it makes it sound louder. So it has that professional punch to it that mastered songs have. So yeah, that's the mixer. This is the most important thing. The mixer, and well, no, the most important thing is being creative, all right? And that comes from up here in your head. That is the most important thing, is being creative. You have to be creative. This is an art, okay? The science of it is on the screen, but the art is the most important thing for making catchy tunes. So you have to be creative. Now, all these tools, the mixer is one of the most important of these tools. So there's the MIDI settings, the audio settings, the file where you save as, so you can save this project as test video lesson whatever I love you. Okay? And save. And then if you want to save it again, you just hit save now that this there. You can choose other songs that you have. So I have all these songs. Keep your head up. Green lives have matter. They do have matter. Green lives have matter. And then the test video, I love you, that I just made. Okay. So yeah, step sequencer, playlist, browser for sounds. Your synths are up here in channel. So channel to all the synths. You can hover over things to see what they are. It says under the file, that's the tempo. That's record, FL piano. Playlist, step sequencer, browser, save. Always save your stuff. Never just leave, because it might mess up. And yeah, this is the first video of many to come, so like and subscribe. Tune in to some more. Follow me on SoundCloud as well. It's Epsilon144. I like producing music the most, but I'll take some time to teach as well. So follow me on SoundCloud and keep in touch. Stay tuned. Peace.